best part about road trips is that they feel new even when you have used the same road often. That's exactly the same vibe we had when we went from Kolkata to Vizag last year. Around 5 am, with our bags packed, we got into the car and set off from home. The excitement was same as always. Music ready, snacks packed, and that sense of adventure of waiting to hit the highway. The highway is always filled with entertainment. So much to get excited about. 4 people on one bike. Road as free as a football ground. And then the raindrops that add sparkle. Well, at first it was like sparkle and the road started to shine. But in no time, heaven poured down like the clouds had decided to empty everything at once. The wipers were swinging non-stop and the sound of the rain hitting the windshield was louder than the music in our car. The rain raced us all the way to Puri. By the time we reached Puri around 2 pm, it was still raining. As a matter of fact, we were loving the rain so far. At least my parents definitely were. For them, rain always makes the journey feel more alive. But once we reached, reality hit us. The rain had no plans of slowing down. We've just landed in Puri and it's 3 pm. It's never this cold in Puri during the winters. This is the La Nina effect. La Nina tends to increase the effect of the northeast monsoon during October to December in India. As a result, the areas around the Bay of Bengal experience an increased frequency of cyclonic rainfall. Our entire remaining day was spent in the hotel room as a result. The next day we decided to have a stroll at the beach, but ultimately rainfall during winters had made the weather very cold. I really don't like wearing jackets at the beach. Right now it is so cold. I really wish I could go and bathe in the sea, but it is too cold. So even though it was 17 degrees, I couldn't help taking off my jacket to enjoy the sea breeze. Even though I feared soaking my feet when I touched the water, interestingly it was warm. As it was not possible to have a stroll at the beach for long, we decided to do the next best thing. Take a drive to Konark. The road from Puri to Konark is as beautiful as ever, lined with tall trees with that fresh rain-washed look everywhere was mesmerizing. The smell of wet earth and glimpses of the coastline pecking through the greenery was spellbinding. We did not intend to visit the Konark temple in the rain. The idea was simply to enjoy nature. We stopped at a spot where the sea looked so vast and inviting. From there, we could see the endless stretch of water meeting the cloudy sky, with waves rolling in one after another. But the rain still had no plans to stop. It kept reminding us that the day belonged to it. At certain stretches, the road looked so picture perfect. Perfectly green from the rain-washed trees, perfectly brown where the wet earth met the path, and perfectly glowing under the silver light of the drizzle. With the rain as our constant companion, dusk had arrived. The next day, our plan was to continue the adventure by driving from Puri to Vizag. It's 22nd morning and currently we are leaving Puri and are about to head to Visakhapatnam. It's so exciting! A new road, a new adventure. Last look at the Puri beach and then we are headed to Visakhapatnam. Bye bye Puri. The road from Puri to Vizag is truly one of the most scenic drives we have ever done. The beginning of the stretch around Puri is a bit tricky with a bit narrow roads and bumps here and there. But as soon as you hit the highway, everything changes. The view opens up completely around Gopalpur highway with lush green mountains and the road cutting perfectly through them. As we approached the Visakhapatnam city, the first thing that we noticed were the power grids. So many tall poles stretching across, carrying electricity. This was a clear signal that we were approaching a smart city. There were also not many shops along the highway as compared to the Kolkata-Puri highway. The first spot that we visited in Vizag was the Rushikonda beach. To me, it seemed to be a lively spot with golden sand and gentle waves. I loved the holiday energy that this place had. It makes you want to dive right in, and I did so. have a room booked in advance, we couldn't stay very long at the beach. We had to move on in search of a hotel. The entire evening was spent looking for a comfortable place to stay. However, driving through the Vizag city for the first time gave us first real impressions. The roads were wide and well maintained, and the landscape beautifully blended with the coastline. After finding the hotel, we called it a day. And speaking of the next morning, I was ready for a refreshing treat.
You have lemon, you have no lemon. Lemon is very.
After the refreshing sugarcane juice, we couldn't resist stopping for a delicious masala dosa, crispy on the outside, soft on the inside, and perfectly spiced. After a hearty breakfast, we decided to just drive around Vizag and get a feel for the city itself. The city felt vibrant yet relaxed, with wide roads and glimpses of the coastline. After exploring the city for a while, we decided to take a drive to the Bheemili beach, which is about 43 kilometers from the Vizag main city. But the journey from the main city to Bheemili is incredibly scenic. While Vizag had no shortage of beaches, at every corner you can see a beach, but Bheemili stands out for its serenity and natural beauty. Very few people visit Bheemili, which makes it feel more peaceful and private. Way back, we noticed a lovely cafeteria called Marlin K, which is perched in a beautiful location and is perfect for a quick stop to enjoy some refreshments while taking in all the views. The combination of an untouched beach and a scenic cafe made the Bheemili visit a highlight of our Vizag trip. Our next stop was Yarada Beach, which was about 15 kilometers from Vizag. The drive took us through some lonely forested hills with winding roads. The contrast of the green hills and sparkling coastline made the view absolutely stunning. felt a rush of excitement to check out the shoreline. And finally, there we were. We wanted to check how far it extended. This was so far the best looking beach, but totally deserted. As we went ahead, we saw a point on top of the other hill. We wanted to explore what it was. The road uphill was a bit tricky, but the view from there was stunning. From a particular point uphill, the sea looked absolutely outstanding. We also noticed some naval ships anchored nearby. As we explored the area, this place uphill was actually a residential and support area for personnel of Navy and their families. As we started coming downhill from the other side, we found a fascinating view of the whole Vizag city. Advancing further along the hill, we gradually reached the port viewpoint. Now we have come to the port viewpoint and I'm going to go up to the top and see how it looks. To my surprise, the view was partly blocked by trees growing right in front of it. So this was not a panoramic but a peek through kind of a view. Around the same spot, we also noticed a small temple. There was also a children's play area with some slides, swings and seesaws. I decided to spend some time in the play area. I was excited to have another boy with me soon. I started making my way up, curious to see what the temple at the top looked like. But as soon as we reached the top, we were being asked to stop recording. On our way back from the Yarada Beach to the city, we stumbled upon something truly fascinating. A Bangladeshi cargo ship that had run around near Tenneti Park. This huge ship which you can see behind me is a ship from Bangladesh, and this ship came and landed in Visakhapatnam during the year 2020 due to bad weather and Amphan cyclone. This ship is known as MV Ma. Over time, this ship has become a unique landmark, attracting photographers, filmmakers, and curious travelers like us. I was super excited to see and touch MV Ma up close. The sight of such a huge ship stuck on the shore was unbelievable. Our next destination was the Submarine Museum, built inside a real submarine, INS Kursura. Right now we are in the queue to see the submarine. Right now I'm going to enter the submarine. INS Kursura served the Indian Navy for over 30 years before being converted into a museum on Araku Beach Road. Entering the submarine was like entering a different world. Everywhere I looked, there were pipes, valves, and control panels. Passages were very narrow, just enough for one person to pass at a time. As too many people were inside at one time, it felt a bit suffocating. Some real torpedoes and missiles were also displayed. And I had to watch my head. We also got to see the captain's room, sailors' bunks, dining area, again some bunks, a passage full of pipes, valves, equipments, and more control panels. This led to the radio receiver area. Some emergency equipment and gear, and also some honors earned by the naval officers displayed. Finally, we saw the kitchen area, which led us to the exit. The little journey through the world of submarine left me deeply inspired and contented. The next morning, we packed up with a lot of excitement because we were heading towards the lovely Araku Valley. The journey started with the road being lined with greenery on both sides, fresh, full of life, and a light dash of rain that seemed to be making the road shine as if it had just been polished. As we moved ahead, the hills slowly started to appear in the distance. The Eastern Ghats had begun to show themselves, standing tall against the cloudy sky. The road began to climb gently and unwind slowly, bending and curling around the hills. Gradually, dense trees started forming a green wall on both sides. At the beginning of our journey, there was just a light drizzle, making the roads shine and trees glisten. But soon, the raindrops grew heavier, and with that, the mist also thickened. The dense trees on both sides started looking mysterious. Faraway hills were barely visible now. They looked just like faint shapes hiding in the fog. There were stretches that looked straight out of dream. Wide grassy fields with trees scattered here and there and a cover of soft mist. And then there were stretches with tall trees on both sides, with the road curling and bending around the rocks. Visibility became a real problem as the rain started pouring heavier. The mist grew thicker, hiding much of the road ahead of us. The rain poured endlessly and the mist wrapped everything. Finally, as we entered Araku Valley, the scene opened up into a wide road with green fields stretching endlessly on both sides. A few bikers rode ahead of us, heading towards the camping sites. However, we had lost a big part of the day and didn't have a hotel booking. Our primary concern was to find a place to crash for the day, but that was difficult to find as this was the Christmas Eve. Almost every hotel was pre-booked. To make it harder, the rain just grew heavier and heavier, making it difficult to move around and check places. At least after it grew dark, we finally managed to find a hotel. By then, we were dead tired and the rain showed no signs of stopping, so we didn't go out anymore. The next morning, feeling fresh again, we set out to explore our first stop at Araku. Right now we are going to the tribal museum. As we walked in, there was a lane curving around a pool, leading to small huts with display of tribal life. The walk towards the huts was quite nice. However, it was still raining, so my father gave me the umbrella and didn't take it himself, making sure that I stayed completely dry. As soon as I stepped into one of the huts, my eyes fell on a wax model of a tribal man. It looked so real that for a moment I felt like it might actually move. Around him there were all kinds of tribal equipments in display. We then headed towards the bigger concrete building. Inside, there were more wax models on display, this time inside protective showcases. Various aspects of tribal life were displayed in great detail. Household chores carried out by women, fishing, collecting wood for home, offering prayers, performing business transactions, playing local drums for festivals, hawkers selling their goods, men making ropes, and women separating hay and grains, and so much more. Every detail made the tribal world come alive right before us. After exploring the museum, we decided to drive around for a while. We stopped at an apiculture farm to buy some local honey. At first, we couldn't identify that these were artificial hives. We thought that this was actually a graveyard. Only when we got closer, we realized that these were man-made beehives. After picking the honey, we decided to head towards the Borra Caves. And guess what? It started pouring heavier. The mist grew so heavy that visibility now was completely gone. The journey around this time was an ultimate thrill. As we neared the Borra Caves, the traffic started increasing noticeably. Everyone was headed towards the same way. After a while, we became stuck for quite some time. There was quite a huge rush and maddening queue at the ticket counter. But finally, after more than an hour-long wait, we managed to get the tickets and entered the Borra Cave complex. Right now, we are going to enter the Borra Caves. As we started going down the stairs into the caves, we realized that everything was extremely slippery because of the rain. We had to be extra careful with every step. Here you can see these type of openings. Those are stalactites. Even though I was really interested on checking out the stalactites and stalagmites, there was no way I could stop and observe properly. The crowd was massive and I had to keep moving along with everyone else. I don't know what to say. As we walked further inside, we noticed that not many people were venturing deep in, so the crowd started to thin out. Present, visitors can explore about 1.2 kilometers of the cave system, which extends to a depth of about 80 meters. This accessible section of the Borra Caves offers a fascinating glimpse of this natural wonder. We decided to explore as further as we could go till we hit the ends. We have reached the end of the Borra Caves. There was one accessible end. We touched the other end also.
You're touching the other end again?
Yes, I am touching the other end again. By the time we were approaching the other end, I was completely exhausted from walking and navigating slippery paths. But I pushed through and finally made it all the way to both the ends. It felt like a small victory. drives of Vizag to the mysterious winding roads through the Eastern Ghats. Exploring Vizag, Araku and Puri was an incredible experience. Even though rain followed us almost everywhere, it also added a magical charm to our journey, making everything look fresh, dreamy and full of life. I loved every bit of it.